Are you looking to buy an economical mid-size SUV? Well, the new Kia Sportage Hybrid is definitely one you should take a look at. It's the first hybrid version of the Sportage in Australia, and it joins only a number of other rivals that are available with hybrid systems as well. Yet again, we see Kia has launched a new product before Hyundai, which is kind of weird. Hyundai is the mothership, it's the parent company, so you'd expect them to launch their new stuff first. The hybrid system was introduced as a part of a bit of an update for the Sportage. It looks pretty much the same, except it's got a HEV badge on the back. Here we're checking out the SX variant, but I also tested the GT line. I thought I'd use the SX for the full performance test, because it's going to be a little bit lighter than the GT line, get a better time out of it. Maybe all hybrid variants feature the same powertrain anyway. It's a 1.6 litre turbo-petrol 4-cylinder paired up with an electric motor assist system. Unfortunately, it's front-wheel drive only in Australia anyway, 169 kilowatts, which is pretty impressive. That's more power than the equivalent Toyota RAV4, for example. I think the SX is the best value model because you get pretty much everything inside except for leather. Instead, you get these cloth seats, but it still gets the huge dual screen dashboard there. You got the new rotary style gear shifter, but it doesn't come with the heated seats, which are just button blanks there. It does operate a little bit differently to the top model. For example, it doesn't have the blind spot camera going when you hit the indicator. Passenger space is good. I like the driving position. You can move the steering wheel up and down and in and out. And yeah, I can get a natural position very, very easily. These seats are actually pretty comfortable, even though they are cloth. I don't mind cloth, it kind of grips you in a bit better than leather, and you don't sweat or anything in the hot summer. But yeah, it actually is very comfortable. I like this steering wheel as well. It's like a little sporty 3-spoke wheel. And you've got Kia's conventional button layout with some of the track skip and volume on one side and a bit of your cruise control on the other. And you can toggle through the different display options here. Basically, you've got climate control along the bottom here, which is great. And you've got a separate air conditioning button, which is also good. I like that. Recirculation button, which is good. But then you push this little arrow here and it swaps to media control. I think this is an interesting setup, but sometimes it's just a bit fiddly. You know, if you just want to quickly jump to something, you're like, oh yeah, I've got to switch over to the other menu. I mean, once you're living with it and you own it for a little bit, you get used to it and you'd know straight away what you're on, the climate or the audio or the media, sorry. But it just means sometimes if you want to turn the media off for a second, like the radio is blaring or something and you want to talk to someone out the window or whatever, and you want to quickly turn it off, you push this and it turns the climate off. So you've got to quickly go back to that and then you can push that and it becomes the power button for the media. Just a little quirk, I guess, and you get used to it. In the back, the Sportage offers a good amount of legroom and headroom for its class. You can even see there's quite a lot of legroom, and even that central hump there is pretty low, so the poor middle seat passenger doesn't have to have their knees in their eyes. But yeah, plenty of room. We've got pockets on both seats, climate vents, but no charging ports, unfortunately, for the SX. You do have a center armrest though, with cup holders and bottle holders in the doors. I've got a good amount of headroom. You can actually recline this seat as well, so you can have it completely upright. Try and show you the angle there, where you can recline it back a fair bit. You can see the different, the step there. But yeah, if you're going for a bit of a road trip or something like that, put the seat back, relax, pop up the rear headrests and go to sleep. Oh yeah, I'm doing a video. And in the back, the Sportage again offers one of the biggest boots you can get in this class. They're very practical. Doesn't have a electronic or power tailgate for the SX. But I do like the way you've got the pull tabs on the side there, so you can fold down the rear seats from here. You don't have to go to the front. They don't click all the way down. But if you're loading something in, say you've got some real heavy piece of flat pack furniture or something like that, pull that tab, tilt it in, slide it in, and then it will push the seat down anyway. 12-volt socket on the wall, which is quite good for this class, but also for this variant level. Then under the floor, you've got a space saver spare wheel. It's weird because you could actually put a full-size spare under there if you wanted to. But as you can see by the little rails there, you can lower this shelf down and get even more boot space if you wanted. but weirdly, it does actually hit that jack, which is kind of strange. So you need to move that down a bit. Maybe someone's installed that incorrectly. All right, let's go for a drive and see what it's like. I'll just leave that like that, and we'll do the performance testing later on as well. Out on the road, it's a very easy vehicle to drive, and just because it's a hybrid, it doesn't mean you have to do anything extra. It just charges itself. You don't have to plug it in or anything like that. You just drive it like a completely conventional vehicle. You do have a number of drive modes to choose from down here on this little wheel. You've got Eco, Sport, and Smart. Smart is kind of the default position, and it sort of adapts to your driving style. If you start, giving it some, it'll be a bit more responsive. If you're just cruising on the highway, it'll try and relax a bit to conserve fuel. Speaking of fuel, I'm averaging 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres, but I have seen it drop down as low as 5.1 with some highway driving. That's pretty good, but it's not the best. I've achieved, low fives from a RAV4 hybrid, and that's with all-wheel drive. So I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks of this vehicle, is that it's front-wheel drive only. Now, obviously, not everyone needs all-wheel drive, but I just think it provides that extra layer of security, especially in wet weather. This does spin the wheels pretty easily, as you'll see. I did some performance testing in the wet. Although the video coming up is in the wet, I actually timed it as well in the dry to get the best 0 to 100 time out of it. But yeah, as you'll see, it spins the wheels really easily because it has that instant torque of the electric motor. I do like that this has got a 1.6 turbo engine though. It just adds a bit of character and a bit more sort of excitement to the package. It's not just a boring, naturally aspirated engine. It's also a bit quieter as well. Turbochargers, work a little bit like a muffler, and they quieten down the combustion a little bit, makes it a bit more of a deeper, bassier note. And it provides good torque too. This engine has been around for a while, the 1.6 turbo. It's in its sort of lowest, or one of its lowest tunes in this application. It's about 132 kilowatts by itself, which is not too bad, but then you have the electric motor. So when you give it some, it actually goes really well, and you don't have to wait for it to rev up. You'll feel the electric motor provide instant low down torque, and then as the petrol and the turbocharger start to wind up, it gives you this extra boost on top. Yeah, you just lean on the throttle and it just zooms you along. It's like it's running crazy turbo boost, where it's just got a bit of lag, but it's really surging you along. That's the electric motor providing a boost for you. So right now I'm just leaning on the throttle. It's remaining in a pretty high gear and just using that electric torque. A little bit of wheel spin there. So that's the thing. If it had a all-wheel drive system, it would just be a little bit more dynamic, I think. But yeah, there's no shortage of power. I think it goes really well. You'll see in the 0 to 100, it's not slow. It's not exactly, fast, but it's definitely quite adequate. In terms of the ride and handling, I think this strikes a very good balance for this type of vehicle anyway. It's a little bit soft, but not as soft as something like a Mitsubishi Outlander. So you've got a little bit of body roll, but these tires are quite tall profile, so that probably adds to it as well in this SX spec. But you can still push it around the corners, and you can feel the body and the frame of it is quite rigid and pretty direct. The steering is reasonably nice as well for this style of vehicle. You can just tip it in here. You've got a bit of initial roll, body roll, but then it sort of stays at that level. It doesn't go any more. I think that's what you want for a vehicle like this, because on country roads and things, the suspension is still able to absorb pretty nasty bumps and potholes and things without, breaking your back. All right, let's go out now and do the performance test and see what it goes like.